Hi, my name is Viraj Bahel, and today I'm going to be talking about the effects of clear cutting on the environment of the Amazon rainforest. So, the Amazon rainforest is the biggest rainforest in the world. It encompasses an area of over 1.4 billion acres. To put this into perspective, the next biggest rainforest, the Congo rainforest, only covers 500 million acres, still an immense size of land. The United States covers 2.4 billion acres in its entirety, so the Amazon rainforest is quite large. Being such a huge forest with so many photosynthetic organisms, it also produces 12% of all oxygen produced on land. The Amazon is also home to over 10% of all known biodiversity in the world. However, there are still thousands of species we have yet to discover hidden in the depths of this massive forest. In a recent expedition in the Amazon, explorers found a new species in the Amazon on average every other day for a whole 2 years. This just shows us how many new species there are yet for us to discover in the Amazon. It's also a home to the largest river by volume in the world, the Amazon River. The river supports multiple species of wildlife that cannot be found anywhere else. Now let's talk about deforestation and what exactly its negative effects are on the ecosystem and the climate. Deforestation is described as the human removal of trees in order to make space for something that is not considered part of the forest. Trees account for almost all of the volume of producers in forest ecosystems. They provide countless ecosystem services, and without them, a tropical rainforest such as the Amazon would not be able to survive. Trees provide habitats for countless species of wildlife, and by removing them, we decrease biodiversity, as we will discuss later in this presentation. Trees are also carbon storages, and they're producers of a lot of oxygen. Deforestation also erodes away the soil, which can cause sediment to enter into rivers. Let's move on to the types of deforestation which humans perform. There are multiple ways in which humans can cut down forests. One of them, a more sustainable option, would be called selective logging. This is where loggers only cut down certain trees in an area which they need to use. It's a lot more sustainable than the alternative, clear cutting. Clear cutting is when entire sections of forests are removed without leaving any trees. Selective logging is a lot more sustainable because it allows for forest ecosystems to still have some trees in areas, and it doesn't completely destroy the soil or environment around in ecosystems. However, it is still harmful to the ecosystem, just not anywhere near as bad as clear cutting. In today's presentation, we're going to be focusing mainly on clear cutting, which has countless negative effects on the Amazon rainforest specifically. So deforestation is currently destroying the Amazon. Since 1978, over 750,000 square kilometers, or almost 300,000 square miles, of the Amazon rainforest has been destroyed across countries like Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, and Venezuela, and multiple other South American countries. This is mainly as a result of recent deforestation efforts. At first, the only deforestation that was happening was in small amounts, and this was to supply subsistence farmers for their everyday needs like energy or wood or whatever they would use it for. But then in the 1970s, industrial deforestation efforts were introduced into the Amazon rainforest. And ever since then, in 1978, humans have continued to tear down portions of the Amazon for their own use. It's estimated that between 15 and 70% of all of the Amazon rainforest has already been destroyed. And this is really bad news because, according to some sources, if about 20% more of the forest is destroyed, this could trigger what's called a dieback scenario. In this scenario, the forest would dry out and become a savanna. This would happen because the temperatures in the area would increase, which dries out the trees, and then make the already burning rainforest significantly more prone to burning through. If the rainforest does burn through, which is very likely if we do destroy 20% more of the forest, then the process could release billions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and significantly raise global temperatures and speed up global warming. Researchers have calculated that the Amazon holds up to 140 billion tons of carbon dioxide. This would be the equivalent to 14 decades of human emissions. The release of this much CO2 into the atmosphere would be catastrophic for the environment. It would definitely speed up humanity's effect on climate change, and it would speed it up by about 140 years. Pictured are actual images of what humanity has done to one of the biggest centers of wildlife in the world, the Amazon rainforest. Can you imagine the effects this has on the biodiversity of the forest? This brings me to my next slide. Deforestation has detrimental effects to the biodiversity of an ecosystem. As I stated earlier, trees are the heart of a forest. They provide homes for most of the animals in the rainforest, such as birds, monkeys, sloths, and countless other creatures. When these trees are cut down for human usage, people don't check inside of them or around them to see if any animals are living, and authorities in charge of the deforestation efforts don't usually care whether or not there are rare or endangered species who are only able to survive in some certain limited regions of the forest. Sometimes governments do restrict deforestation in specific areas due to endangered species, but as I stated earlier, the Amazon is home to countless undiscovered species. So there's no way of lumberers to know if they are cutting into land with undiscovered and rare species of fauna. This causes these very vulnerable animals to lose some of their livable habitat, which makes it very difficult for them to survive. Other animals who are able to survive elsewhere in the forest are pushed into new territories that can already be inhabited by different species who occupy the same niche as these animals. This could then cause competition between the two species or two populations, and this would make it a lot harder for both of the competing species to gain access to the resources they need to survive. These animals are these types of animals are both very common examples of how some species are not able to relocate when their area of the forest is deforested. In both of these cases, biodiversity is adversely affected. So let's talk about soil erosion and what it does to the Amazon River. When trees are clear cut in a region, a process called soil erosion generally occurs. In this process, the topsoil in an area is left exposed when trees in the region are cut down. The trees are stripped completely from the land in clear cutting, so the topsoil enjoys no protection against natural factors like wind or water. Topsoil is crucial to an ecosystem because it holds the most nutrients necessary for plants out of all kinds of soil, and therefore it is the most vital soil for supporting life. The nutrient-rich soil gets eroded away from its original location as a result of deforestation. This is just one negative effect of soil erosion. It prevents future life from growing in the ecosystem and makes it so that the areas deforested will likely not successfully grow as many trees or have as many flora and fauna as they did originally. Another effect would be that the soil could erode into the Amazon River from the deforested areas. This could cause silt deposits along the river. It could also change the course of the river and cause flooding into other areas, and this could destroy wildlife or homes nearby. So let's talk about the effects of deforestation on oxygen in the Amazon and also around the globe. Humans require oxygen to survive. Plants are the main providers of this precious element, and trees are essential organisms for providing oxygen into an ecosystem and our biosphere. They produce more oxygen than any other land flora. The Amazon rainforest is home to the largest number of trees in the world. As you can probably assume, it therefore produces a huge amount of oxygen. It's been estimated that 6% of all the oxygen in the world is produced in the Amazon rainforest. Out of all the land ecosystems, the Amazon produces 12% of all of the oxygen. While this might not seem like that large of a number, when you think about it from a global perspective, it is substantial. Also, with deforestation, trees release less water vapor into the atmosphere, which decreases the amount of oxygen. Trees provide the ecosystem services of cleaning our air as well. They take in carbon dioxide and emit oxygen out. This provides air filtration in the atmosphere and provides all animal species with oxygen which we require to breathe. If there is more deforestation, then less oxygen will be produced. The rainforest has often been described as the lungs of the earth, and it's quite evident that the deforestation happening in the Amazon today will have a profound impact on the amount of oxygen produced in the world. So here are some of the effects on the local and global climate. Clear cutting in the Amazon has a massive effect. The climate of the rainforest as well as the biosphere are affected by it. The forest has an immense influence over our global climate, and one reason behind deforestation affecting the climate is that trees are huge storages of carbon. When a tree is burned or left to rot after being cut down, a large amount of carbon that is being stored in the tree is released into the atmosphere. Carbon is what we would call a greenhouse gas, and these greenhouse gases produce what's called the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is the warming of the climate that happens when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the earth towards space. Certain gases in the atmosphere, such as carbon, have a reaction with heat which resembles the effects of glass in a greenhouse, allowing sunlight to pass into the greenhouse but blocking Earth's heat from escaping into space, which contributes to the increase in global temperatures because the heat has nowhere to go and is stuck in the atmosphere as a result of the effect these gases have. By cutting down trees in the Amazon, we are releasing this element directly into the atmosphere, which contributes to climate change. Another way deforestation could have a potentially catastrophic effect on the climate is if the dieback scenario I earlier stated were to ever occur. If we clear cut 20% more of the Amazon, the forest will die, and all the carbon stored in all of those trees will go into the atmosphere, causing global temperatures to spike. And this will also cause almost all ecosystems to die out eventually due to the immense release of carbon into the atmosphere. This would have an immeasurably terrible effect on the climate of the globe. So, with all this talk about how deforestation is destroying the Amazon, you might be asking yourself, how can I help decrease the effects of it? Well, there are a numerous amount of ways you can help. One easy way would be to avoid supporting companies or to boycott companies which are involved in deforestation. Global commodity traders such as Cargill, JBS, and Mafrig are the key drivers of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. These these traders' products are then sold by retailers like Walmart and Costco. And by avoiding shopping at these retailers, you can help fight the destruction of the world's largest center of biodiversity. Another thing you can do is plant trees. If we were to plant enough trees to counteract how many we are cutting down, then the climate effects of deforestation will be counteracted somewhat. Finally, there are multiple charities that are actively fighting the deforestation of rainforests. One that I would recommend is the Rainforest Connection. Donating to these charities would help save the climate and biodiversity in one of the most enchanting, vast ecosystems in the world, our forests. Here's my bibliography, and then here is the credit for all the pictures. Thank you.